Angelique gave a smile. "You see, father, it's only a joke, a hoax." But the Duke's rage broke out afresh, and he began to walk up and down, moving his arms. "I shall go to the police. The fellow can't be allowed to make a fool of me in this way. If there's any law left in the land, it must be stopped." Hyacinthe entered the room again. He brought 2 visiting cards. Chautois, Le Petit, don't know them. "They are both journalists, Monsieur le Duc." "What do they want?" "They would like to speak to Monsieur le Duc with regard to the marriage." "Turn them out," exclaimed the Duke. "Kick them out, and tell the porter not to admit scum of that sort to my house in the future." "Please, father," Angelique ventured to say. "As for you, shut up. If you had consented to marry one of your cousins when I wanted you to, this wouldn't have happened." The same evening, one of the 2 reporters printed on the front page of his paper a somewhat fanciful story of his expedition to the family mansion of the Sarzeau Vendômes in the Rue de Varennes, and expatiated pleasantly upon the old nobleman's wrathful protests. The next morning, another newspaper published an interview with Arsène Lupin, which was supposed to have taken place in a lobby at the opera. Arsène Lupin retorted in a letter to the editor, "I share my prospective father-in-law's indignation to the full. The sending out of the invitations was a gross breach of etiquette, for which I am not responsible, but for which I wish to make a public apology. Why, sir, the date of the marriage is not yet fixed. My bride's father suggests early in May. She and I think that 6 weeks is really too long to wait." What gave a special piquancy to the affair, and added immensely to the enjoyment of the friends of the family, was the Duke's well-known character, his pride, and the uncompromising nature of his ideas and principles. Duke Jean was the last descendant of the Barons de Sarzeau, the most ancient family in Brittany. He was the lineal descendant of that Sarzeau who, upon marrying a Vendôme, refused to bear the new title which Louis XV forced upon him until after he had been imprisoned for 10 years in the Bastille, and he had abandoned none of the prejudices of the old regime. In his youth he followed the Comte de Chambord into exile. In his old age he refused a seat in the chamber on the pretext that a Sarzeau could only sit with his peers. The incident stung him to the quick. Nothing could pacify him. He cursed Lupin in good round terms, threatened him with every sort of punishment, and rounded on his daughter. "There, if you had only married! After all, you had plenty of chances. Your 3 cousins, Mussy, d'Amboise, and Caorches, are noblemen of good descent, allied to the best families, fairly well off, and they are still anxious to marry you. Why do you refuse them? Ah, because Miss is a dreamer, a sentimentalist, and because her cousins are too fat, too thin, or too coarse for her." She was, in fact, a dreamer. Left to her own devices from childhood, she had read all the books of chivalry, all the colorless romances of olden time that littered the ancestral presses, and she looked upon life as a fairy tale in which the beauteous maidens were always happy, while the others wait till death for the bridegroom who does not come. Why should she marry one of her cousins when they were only after her money, the millions which she had inherited from her mother? She might as well remain an old maid and go on dreaming. She answered gently, "You will end by making yourself ill, father. Forget this silly business." But how could he forget it? Every morning some pinprick renewed his wound. 3 days running, Angelique received a wonderful sheaf of flowers, with Arsène Lupin's card peeping from it. The Duke could not go to his club, but a friend accosted him. "That was a good one today." "What was?" "Why, your son-in-law's latest. Haven't you seen it? Here, read it for yourself. Monsieur Arsène Lupin is petitioning the Council of State for permission to add his wife's name to his own, and to be known henceforth as Lupin de Sarzeau Vendôme." And the next day he read, "As the young bride, by virtue of an unrepealed decree of Charles X, bears the title and arms of the Bourbon Condés, of whom she is the heiress of line, the eldest son of the Lupins de Sarzeau Vendôme will be styled Prince de Bourbon Condé." And the day after, an advertisement. "Exhibition of Mademoiselle de Sarzeau Vendôme."